Hello, my name is Xavier Mazel, and I did a project with Eric Bagley called Practicing Safe Computing. And today I'm going to go over a slideshow between what is safe computing and what is the practice of safe computing. And with this, I hope people will actually further understand what it is to be safe while computing instead of just going on the internet and checking your web or your email, and you end up getting, let's say, like a virus. So what is safe computing? Safe computing actually practices a combination between physical protections using computer software and security settings. And it secures the actions of the user. Safe computing is also now used with many users of the computer, so they don't lose private information while browsing the World Wide Web. A couple different ways you can do safe computing is actually setting a proper password for security reasons. Setting security passwords for your accounts it's not actually that hard of a task. But the catch is it's not easily guessable by strangers. And here are some tips to prevent that. The do's are: create a strong password that consists of numbers, letters, special characters. Use a combination between uppercase and lowercase and symbols. And do something that you can remember, because if you can't remember, what's the point? And if you need to recover it, you actually further start breaking the cycle of proper security. Some of the don'ts in the personal information is actually using your personal information to create a password. You also don't want to share your password with other people because it actually further breaks the chain of security. And with breaks in the chain of security, you actually end up just losing liability and probability of actually being able to keep your password, because you have to change your password every 2 to 3 months. And with that, it actually helps keeps everything secure, and it also keeps things running. So whenever things are running and or is constantly cycled, people can't guess it, and when people can't guess your password, you're safer. And some alternatives of passwords on computers and security teams is like biometric scanners or magnetic swipes. Biometric scanners are actually programs that use fingerprints, retinal scans, voice, and even facial identification to provide access to the computer. Magnetic swipe or ID cards are pretty simple because all they are is like your security card, like your security on your credit card, like, you know, the black strip on the back of a credit card. That's pretty much what it is with magnetic strips. And with that, it actually is pretty easy to swipe it, because some people actually use these keylogger devices. If you ever see the news, there's a device that goes over the swipe on gas pumps and ATMs where people can actually overlay the magnetic swipe, and it actually steals your information. And there's actually also people who can carry around a strong magnet that's actually attached to a computer, in layman's terms, that it will actually take the information without it actually being swiped. And sometimes that can be bad, but it's also good in the fact that you don't have to actually take your card out of your pocket for anybody to steal your information. I'm not saying the magnetic swipes are great because of the negativities I just said, but the positivities are some of these new ID cards actually have these gold prints. Like, for instance, if you ever check out your bank account or your bank card, you'll see these little gold strips right here. This gold strip's actually like a magnetic swipe, but it's actually a chip. And with the chip on the magnetic swipe, it actually helps further set an encryption on your information. And with that information encrypted, you can't have it stolen. Most people, like with the magnetic strip in the past, can steal your information, but now they can't, which actually helps you out further in life. So another one, like what I was just saying, is encrypting data. Encrypting data is the ability to translate data into other form or code. So let's say, like I was just saying about the gold chip on your card, that's a good way to actually keep your information secure because it's encrypted. And the encryption is so that only the people who have access with the secret key, like let's say the company that you go through with your bank. Like I go through JP Morgan Chase, and they have a special encryption team that goes through and actually it has their own special key to access information, so it's not taken by the public. A way people have encrypted data is notably through an internet through purchase things. If you ever noticed a green address bar right before, like to the left side of where you go www.whatever.com, that's actually showing it is encrypted through the a secure server. So whenever it's encrypted like that and it requires you to enter your personal information to buy stuff, it's so no other person can actually access your information while you're in terms of buying the other items. So in all these things, it actually keeps your information private and it doesn't allow other people to have access to it, which can actually help you in the long run. Like I do have a picture of how encryption works. And if you look closely, with all this, it actually has a couple different steps, and you have to have two different keys with the encryption and decryption, which actually helps you in the long run. So with two keys, it actually helps you so more personal information is secure. Another way for practicing safe computing is watching out for scams. Scams are actually a lot more common than you think, and it actually is related to encryption on websites. Some websites don't have encryptions. Like if you ever notice, some websites will say it is not secure. Like if you have Google Chrome, it'll actually pop up before you saying it is not secure. And when it's not secure, it's wise not to enter information that can be stolen or used against you and or used to ruin your life, like credit card, personal information, name, birth date, anything like that. Anything past the name is too severe. Steps to avoid this are don't enter websites without the encryption notice at the top of the website, and don't follow links that are too good to be true. Because if they're too good to be true, chances are they are. Because everybody's heard of the scam through email and how like you've won a lottery that you never entered for, and it requires you to enter your banking information. That's a prime example of scams that you should not fall for. And with that, it's really bad for people to actually fall for this because it's pretty much spelled out, don't do it, but people still end up doing it for some reason because everybody wants that hope of being able to just win like the lottery. Everybody wants to win the lottery. You, me, everybody. Another way of practicing safe computing is actually backing up files and data. One of the practicing of safe computing steps is making sure you have copies of data and files. Backing up these can help you retain data just in case there's been a data breach in your computer, which will allow you to actually retain the information that you have saved. And with the backup, it actually saves all that information. So whenever your computer needs to be wiped, if it has, let's say, malware or infections and or anything that can keylog your computer, and keylogging is actually the fact of, it's a program implemented on your computer like a virus or malware, that will actually track the keystrokes and the keystrokes and the typing and everything that you've entered on your computer. So any information like, let's say you're paying your bills, that could be accessed through keylogging. And if there's a keylogger on your website, well, not your website, but your computer, it'll actually steal all your information. So when you back up your information and you notice there's a keylogger, because if you have a basic computer, like if you bought one, it always comes with some sort of virus protector. The virus protector can watch out for a keylogger so you don't have any information stolen or any information being downloaded onto your computer without your notifications. And with that, it'll actually help you save your information. So when you have it backed up, you can actually back up the files you want instead of just having the files plus the keylogger. So after that, it'll be pretty easy to get your information back without actually having it exposed. So, with the recap, I want to just let you know what we discussed during safe computing and a couple of other small things that can help you with safe computing. So, the first step we did was practicing great passwords. So, remember always to have capital letters, lowercase letters, numbers, symbols, and something else that'll throw anything off. But it cannot be related to any information that you personally have. Because if you have any personal information in that, it's pretty likely to fall into the wrong hands. We also talked about encrypting data and the encryption keys of how to stay safe and what encryption keys are. And we talked about scams, and scams are pretty simple to follow. Just don't go to something that is too good to be true, because chances are it is. And last but not least, we've talked about backing up files and saving data. We did all this, and it was actually pretty simple. All you do is have to back up your data. Always have like a second hard drive, or always have the option. Windows 10 has an option to back up data very simplistically. All you do is have to go through, and it actually gives you an option when you go through the computer hardware settings, and you can actually go through your hard drive and actually create a duplicate file of everything you have. And with that, it makes it really easy. One step I did forget was educating yourself. With the last step, the best thing you can do to stay safe is stay on the internet and computing is to educate yourself. Educating yourself to all possible things that can damage your computer in the your data or your computer in the long run will help you. So whenever you have all this education, you can actually help pass on information to those who need help. So people who also fall short of the educational line of they don't know what to do to actually counter all these counter the measurements of malware, viruses, and other software that can steal information. And it also helps you give you awareness of anything that's possible to come your way. And with these steps, it is simplistic to know any bad things that are coming. And here are some small things to stay safe, which is like minimize storage of sensitive information. Like, don't keep all your passwords on your computer, and if you have to write them down, keep them safe. Don't expose them to anybody, such as like your friends. Like, hey Billy, my password to PayPal is *123, and with that, it can actually help. It actually can access your information to your car, and like the card information to your bank, and with that, it can actually cause a chain reaction of problems. You also want to protect your information when you're on the internet. You want to secure your area before shutting it down if you're at a workstation, and shut down computers and make sure they need a password before you close. So with all that being said, I hope you have a great time practicing Safe Computer. Thank you, Mr. Jackson, Professor Jackson, for this opportunity in this classroom. And thank you to my partner, Eric, for giving me the information to provide the slides. And I hope you have a great day.